Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. It is time to update my Panda palette yet again. It is another month that has gone by. Actually, for me filming this, it's not been quite a month, so it feels like I just filmed this video like very recently, which is kind of true because my last update went up a little bit later. I was sick at the around the beginning of June, end of May. So I normally film these for it to go up on the 30th of the month. But I had to post it a little bit into June, so I lost a couple of days there. And then on top of that, I am pre-filming this because my baby's due on the 1st of July and I don't know when she's going to make her arrival, so I'm pre-filming this. It is currently the 22nd of June. I thought it's better to get it out of the way, get it filmed now, and then at least I have an update to post rather than waiting too long and then who knows. But I don't know, she might not be here by the time this video goes up. We're just gonna have to wait and see, but I thought I'll film it now and sacrifice a little bit of progress for it to be up. So I'm gonna jump into the video and the progress on my palette, but before I do that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So if you are new to this project, I am working on two palettes this year. I'm working on my soft glam palette, which is the main kind of palette. I've been working on this one for 2 years now. Well, not 2 full years, but this is the second year that I'm working on it. And because I had already finished up half of the shades in here and obviously had a lot of progress on it, I also only had mattes in here. I wanted to make a companion palette to have with this one, mainly with shimmers. So I made a BYOP as well, and that is the combination that I'm planning this year. As per normal in these updates, I'm going to start off with the soft glam palette. So I'm going to roll the footage now what this has been looking like. You can see what it looked like when I first rolled it over. So this is kind of my end point in 2024 and the beginning of 2025. But I also decided to franken it. So you're looking at that now. Just to have some more lighter shades and some more variety in this palette. Just to also help get rid of those deeper shades. So again, I've been working away on this one. It's been really fun. I am really determined to have this palette done. But it is obviously taking some time, and as you can see, it is kind of slow moving, but also I'm happy with like the progress that I've made so far this year. And I have been able to finish a couple of Franken shades and stuff like that, and eventually, I don't know, I think you might be at that point right now, I was able to Franken some more shades. I really like 2 of the Franken shades that I made, so I decided to make 2 new kind of duplicate shades of that, plus another one, and that is very recently. So that is 2 updates ago, and then this is what it looked like at the last update. So again, pretty good progress. I had a couple goals this past month, particularly to finish 2 of the Franken shades and just get some more use out of this palette. And I have been working away on it. I haven't been able to hit all my goals, but this is what it looks like today. I'm super pleased with how it's looking and how it's moving. And yeah, I'm just going to talk you through the numbers for this palette and how I have been using it. So this is the palette right here. I'll practically say, so I'm going to hold it up on this side. But this is the palette right here, so you can see that it is looking quite well loved. Again, obviously a lot of the pans are filled now, but they're very thin. They are Franken shades, and you know, they're not originally part of the palette. The only original shades that I have left in here now are Mulberry, we have Dusty Rose, Rustic, Cypress Umber, and Noir. I believe those are the original shades. Orange Soda is technically not done because I do have it in a Franken shade. It's part of this Franken shade right here. But overall, I am obviously working through the palette, but a lot of the shades again in here are Frankens, but it's definitely enabling me to use this palette more. So speaking of usage, let's go through the pans. First up we have Tempera, which I finished in 2024. Then we have this shade right here, which is a Franken shade. This is Mulberry mixed with a NYX kind of cream shadow, which is in my BYOP. I have not reached for that one at all in the past month. I've just been focusing elsewhere, so no uses there. Then for Orange Soda, again, it looks like it's done, but it's not currently done. It is in Franken shades. And yeah, whenever I finish that Franken, that will count as done, but we are not there quite yet. Next to it is that Franken that has Orange Soda in it. It's a mix between Orange Soda and Dusty Rose, and again, Dusty Rose is down here. I haven't reached for that one either in the past month. Again, I've been focusing on other shades, but I do really love this shade. I'm suspecting I'm going to use this one a decent amount the next month if I do end up wearing makeup, just because it's an easy everyday kind of shade for me. Then next to that we have one of my more recent Franken shades as well. I tried to mix Mulberry with the shade Champs from Colourpop, which is in my BYOP, and I really love this shade. It's a bit more of a peachier kind of undertone, and that one I have reached for once, so not too much, but I did at least try it out. So that is that shade, and it's in the spot of Sultry if you're following along. Then next to that we have another Franken shade in the spot of Bronze, and this is my eyebrow shade. So it is what I'm wearing in my eyebrows today. It is what I wear in my eyebrows majority of the days. Not every single time I do my makeup, but majority of times. Just the only time I wouldn't is if I kind of do a really quick look and I don't fill my brows in. But in the past month I have reached for this one 20 times, and I currently have reached for this one 41 times in total. And as you can see, I was able to pan on this shade. It is not the biggest pan, but there is a pan in here now. I have been trying to like even out the sides too, and not just focusing on expanding that pan, just because I don't want it to get too fragile. But I did a pan on it after 5 additional uses in the past month for a total of 26 uses in the project. So I'm happy to have a new pan in this palette. Then we have the shade Mulberry, which is one of the original shades, and I have not reached for this one at all in the past month, so 0 uses there. Moving on to the second row, we are starting off with Dusty Rose right here. And this is of course again one of the original shades, and I have reached for it once in the past month. Again, not too high. I've been focusing on other shades, particularly the next shade, which is quite similar to it. Dusty Rose, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar vibes. So that's why I haven't reached for it more than once. And that next shade that I'm talking about is another Franken shade, and that is Mulberry. Again, this deeper shade mixed with a white. And this is one that I wanted to ideally finish this past month, but unfortunately I haven't been able to do that. I am hoping though that I expanded the pan quite a bit. I do think I have, and it is very thin, this pan, so I do think it should be done with like in the next 5 to 10 uses hopefully. But again, I wasn't able to. Maybe if I filmed this one on the day it went up, I would have been able to finish it. But for now, as we're sitting, since I have less days in between updates, I wasn't quite able to get there. But I did reach for this one 6 additional times, so I'm really happy that I was able to get some good use out of it. I have 15 uses on it in total, so it's not, I didn't Franken too much of the shade, so it should be relatively easy to finish when I do finish it. But yeah, it wasn't able to get there. It might be a goal that I'm roll over, but considering again my life at the moment, I don't know if I'm going to set any specific goals for any of my projects at the moment, or in my, in the next month or two. But this is definitely one that I'm going to focus on and try to hopefully have done very soon. Then, however, the next shade was in the spot of Orange Soda, and that was another Franken shade. It was the shade Rustic, which is right here, mixed with a cream shadow, and it's actually the same as this here, but I made a duplicate of it because I really did enjoy that shade. So I didn't want to like be out of it for the rest of the year, but I did want to finish this original shade. And as you can see in the progress photos as well as here, I was able to do that. We do have some rust in the pan, so it does look a little bit like dirty and stuff now, but I was able to finish that shade, which I'm super happy with. It took me 11 additional uses in the past month for a total of 34 to finish it, and I'm happy to have another completed shade. I probably won't Franken anything else in that spot just because it is rust in there, and also I feel like the Franken shades that I have right now covers most of my bases, so I am okay with how this palette is looking for now. Of course, I do also have a duplicate of that shade, so that is this one here, and so I'm not out of it fully. Well, when I'm saying duplicate, I made a new Franken. I tried to make it as close as possible, and I'm really happy for that because again, it's a very nice, neutral, slightly more cool tone leaning transition shade, and again, I have really enjoyed it in the past month. But since I worked on that one, I have not reached for that other Franken shade at all because they were kind of the same shade, so I neglected that one and I didn't focus on it at all because I was so determined to finish the shade that was in the spot of orange, burnt orange. So the one that is in the spot of Sienna, I have not reached for at all. For the shade Rustic, I have reached for it a couple times. I reached for it 4 times, so it's definitely getting used here and there. It's quite thin in the pan now, and I do think if I actually focus on it, it will move quite quickly, but I just been using this palette kind of how I want, and I haven't had any specific goals on these deeper shades, just because I don't reach for like looks very often for now, but I do foresee myself when autumn comes around to go for a bit more smokier looks, and I think this one is gonna fly by once that happens. For the last shades in the palette, we have Cypress Umber, which I reached for once, and then Noir, which I reached for twice. So a little bit of use, nothing too much, but at least I'm getting a little bit of use out of this palette. So yeah, that is it for my Soft Glam palette. I'm going to talk about the weight with this one, but I'm going to go through the usage of my BYOP first, and then once that's done, I can talk you through again the weight. So for my BYOP, I'm going to again roll the footage of what this one has been looking like. Again, I did roll this one in, and then I did swiftly go ahead and franken it, and I did use I think only one of the shades, which was the NYX cream shadow, to franken into my BYOP. That is the cream shadow that I've been talking about, so you can see there. But I have also been working on this palette. I can't remember how many pans I had at the beginning of the year, but I didn't have pan on everything. But I've been slowly hitting pans here and there, and it's been such a beautiful palette to reach for. It has so many beautiful, sparkly, everyday type of shadows. Some of them are a bit more warmer tones, some of them are a bit more cooler tones, and I do have a lot of variety in here. And it's just been fun to have this one on the go. And even though, you know, I feel like some of them are a bit similar to each other, I think overall I did select a good range of shades in here, so I have really been enjoying working on it. I haven't really finished anything, of course, or wasn't even close to finishing anything, but I did have some bigger pans in some of the shades, and I did also go ahead, of course, and franken the palettes again, which I will show you now what it looks like. So this is what this palette looked like at that point. I did have a lot of NYX beige kind of done at that point, and I did also use a little bit of the Champs shade, which is the last of the Colourpop shadows, which are the smaller pans in here. So that is what it looked like, and then I proceeded to use it, and this is what it looked like last month. So you can see that I had some really good progress on that NYX shade. The pans were continuing to expand, and overall I was happy with how this palette was looking. And this is what this palette looks like right now. I am very, very excited with the changes in here, and of course I'm going to talk you through each shade in order. I didn't really have too many goals apart from one specific one, which of course I'm going to talk you through soon, but it might have been to finish one of the shades. So yeah, that is what this palette looks like. Very, very, very happy with the progress on here for this month, especially on certain shades. I haven't given every single shade in here love this past month, but the ones that I have focused on, I feel like I'm seeing good progress on. So let me talk you through the shades. First up in the palette we have a Terramus single. This is the shade Cinnamon Sugar, and this one I only reached for once, so not too much progress. I don't know if you can see any difference in the pans, but yeah, one use at least. Then we have a Glam Shop shade called Pilkiscovy, I think, and that one I have reached for 3 times, so a little bit. It is like a blue kind of iridescent shade, and yeah, I have reached for it a couple times, and I'm hoping the pan is expanding maybe a little bit. And then next up for those kind of round bigger singles, we have Bismuth from the Pastel Roses, and that one I have not reached for at all, so no difference for that specific pan. Moving on to the second row, we have the shade Bombawi from Glam Shop, and this is definitely one that I have worked on a decent amount, and this is the one which has the biggest pan, obviously apart from one specific shade, but this is the one that has the biggest pan at the moment, which I'm very hopeful for, and it's also a beautiful shade to reach for now in summer and also in autumn, so I'm hopeful that this one can be actually done, not, you know, very soon, but relatively soon. That's going to be one of my goals, and I am working away on this one. I have reached for it 5 times this past month, which I think is pretty good for that specific shade. Then right in the center for those bigger singles, we have the shade Starlight from the Pastel Roses. This is one of my favorite shades in my collection. I really love it. I'm getting a little bit tired of it though, because I have reached for it a lot in this project, but I am working on it and reaching for it, you know, here and there. And I do have 3 additional uses on it in the past month. Then next to that, which is the last big round single for the second row, we have the shade Laser, which unfortunately I wasn't able to reach for at all. I've been focusing on other things, and this one is quite similar to Starlight. So yeah, I don't get as much use out of this one as I would like, but I didn't reach for it at all. However, I do have an okay amount to use on it for the year. Moving on to the last row, we first up have the shade Vegas Bliss from Glam Shop, and this one I reached for 2 additional times in the past month. It's not really like a summery shade, but I tried to incorporate it a couple times. I'm getting very close to my 25 uses on this shade for my year of usage product pan, So it's definitely something that I'm going to push for in the next month or in the next couple of days ideally, just so I can have that one done before my baby comes. So hopefully I can have some more use on that one for next month, but again, otherwise I don't see myself reaching for that one too much considering the shade of it for summer. But then next to that we have the shade Starburst from the Pastel Roses, and that one I have reached for. It's this one, by the way, I reached for once. So it's like a green leaning shade, and I absolutely used to love this shade, but right now I've not been as into greens, so I'm not reaching for it as much as I was hoping for. But yeah, one use on it, and that is okay. Then we have the big elephant in the room, and that is this pan right here. This is the NYX Depotted kind of cream shade. It was originally from the In Your Element Air palette, and as you can see, I have been able to finish that shade. It is completely done. Well, it's actually not completely done, but it is completely done in here. I reached for it 17 additional times in the past month for a total of 79 uses. I'm very, very happy with that. That is like 79 users using it on its own, but it is important to note that I do have this shade in Franken shade. So in my Soft Glam palette, there's a couple of shades that still have this shade in them. So this one won't count officially as done until those Franken shades are done. So yeah, 79 uses to finish the shade in this palette, and on top of that I do have some Franken uses already recorded from shades that I've finished, and we have 65 uses for one shade and 34 for another, so those are added on top of the total. But again, I'm going to go through the total of that shade once all of the Franken uses are done. But very, very happy that it's empty in here and it's one less shadow to focus on in this palette. Then for the last shades we have my Colourpop shadows right here. For Kaleidoscope I did not reach for it at all. But then below it we have this shade right here called Prima Drama, and I am very, very excited. Hopefully you can see there is some good movement on this shade. It has, yeah, massive difference, I would say, from last month, at least from my memory. And this is a shade that I was neglecting loads in this project. I had only reached for it 6 times in this project prior to this past update. So I was just neglecting it, and I was really determined to start making some good progress on some of the shades in here, and I knew this one was going to be an easy reach shade just because it is a pressed glitter. With pressed glitters they do move quite quickly once you focus on them, just because they are a bit of a chunkier formula, so you pick up more product every time you use it, if that makes sense, and that is why they move quite quickly. And in the past month I have reached for this one 14 additional times, so I'm now sitting at 20 uses in total, and yeah, you can see that it is massive pan on this one now. I actually have been wearing it on my nails mainly, which I am doing right now. I'm wearing it over a sheer black base right now, and I really love how it's looking. And yeah, very excited for the progress on that one, and I'm hoping to finish that before the next update. Then lastly in the palette we have the shade Champs, which I have reached for 4 times, so that is where this one is sitting. Not sure if there's any pan expansions or anything, but I'm happy that I'm getting some good use out of that shade. And then on top of the goal of finishing this shade right here, I did want to get at least 50 uses on the shades combined in here. And I'm happy to say that I got exactly 50 uses, so very pleased with that. And that is where my BYOP is sitting for the moment. Alright, so like I said, I'm not going to set any specific goals for these 2 palettes just because I don't know what my schedule is going to look like for the next month or 2. But I'm going to go through the weights quickly before I wrap up this update. So for my Anastasia Soft Glam palette, just quickly, the palette has an advertised weight of, well, at the introduction of 2024 it weighed 162.70 grams, and at the beginning of 2025 it weighed 156.09 grams, and the advertised weight for this palette is 10.36 grams, but I had only a remaining use, considering how much I used in 2024, to use of 3.75 grams. So that is that kind of palette, and in order to reach that I need to reach for an average of 0.31 grams per month. In quarter 1 I used 0.57 grams, not the best, but I do think the kind of humidity makes this palette fluctuate a lot, and unfortunately I think the weight for the specific one isn't very accurate, but that is quarter 1 use. In April I was able to, actually I wasn't able to reach for anything, well I did, but the palette gained weight because again I think humidity, it gained 0.04 grams. And in May I was able to use 0.19 grams, that was at least good. And at that point the palette weighed 156.32 grams. Since then, I unfortunately have had some weight gain again. Today the palette weighs 156.36 grams, which means that the palette gained 0.04 grams again, which is very unfortunate, not where I wanted to be. Yeah, I think I know for a fact we've had a lot of humidity recently, and that is probably why this palette is gaining weight. But that means that the Q2 usage for this palette is only 0.11 grams, but I know that's not accurate. In this past month, I know that I use this palette around like 50 uses across the whole palette, if not more, so it should definitely be going down. But again, I think humidity is affecting it, unfortunately. It's just, I think, the curse of the felt packaging, so I'm not looking at this kind of weight difference too much. But yeah, that is my Soft Glam palette. But then let's cover my BYOP next. That is the last thing to do in this video. And for this one, I don't have an advertised weight just because I didn't tally up all the totals. I knew also some of these shades had pan on them already. They already had a decent amount of use, so I'm just having an intro weight. But this palette weighed 155.73 grams at the introduction. However, I did take some of that out to Franken with my Soft Glam palette, so it then weighed 155.24 grams. In Q1, I was able to finish 1.74 grams total for this palette, which I was really happy with. That I feel like is definitely more accurate than the Soft Glam palette, and also because it's more like of a traditional cardboard packaging. I don't think it holds as much weight as the Soft Glam palette, obviously, or not weight, sorry, humidity and moisture as the Soft Glam palette. Obviously maybe a little bit, but not as much as that felt packaging. But yeah, that was Q1. For Q2 in April, I was able to finish 0.20 grams, so very happy with that. And then I did end up taking again some Franken out of it, but yeah, I'm not going to cover that. If you want to see how much I used for Frankening, you can check out my previous weight updates. But in May, I was able to finish all of 0.51 grams, which I'm so pleased with. I did use this palette a lot in May, so I was really happy to see that like above half a gram of use. And at that point, which was last update, the palette weighed 152.26 grams. So that was again last month's update. And today the palette weighs 151.86 grams, which means that I was able to finish an additional 0.40 grams, which again I'm very pleased with, especially because I am filming this a little bit earlier than I normally do. So that is my weight difference for this palette. I actually haven't added up how much I used in Q2, so let me do that quickly. So that means that in Q2 I was able to use 1.11 grams, which is a little bit less than Q1, but I'm still really pleased with that number. It's above a gram, which on average I think is a full eyeshadow. So you know, really happy with that, especially considering this palette already has some good use on it before I rolled into the project. If I'm, you know, able to use 1 to 2 shadows a quarter, that should finish, you know, what, 4 to 8 shadows, so maybe 6, which would be really good out of that palette. Especially like that would be full shadows, not with already use on it, so it might be a little bit higher than that even. So very happy with that, and if I can keep, you know, between 1 and 2 grams up for the next coming quarters, I'll be very pleased. But yeah, that is going to be it for my update today. The last thing actually, which I normally cover but I kind of wanted to skip over because of the discrepancies in the Soft Glam palette, is the total grams used for the month, and that is only 0.36 grams, again considering the Soft Glam palette gained weight. So I'm kind of just breezing over that because I don't think that is accurate, especially because I finished the shade, so how would I have been able to add weight? So I know it's not accurate. But anyway, that is going to be it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like I'm a little bit flustered at the moment, but it's very warm. We're having a heat wave in the UK, and I'm very warm at the moment. I'm wearing this like shirt dress, which, you know, is very flowy. It is long sleeve, but it's very flowy, and I have bare legs, and I need to get changed though because I want something a bit more breezy. But yeah, I wanted to wear something that looks a bit more put together for this video. But I'm gonna wrap up the video here. Like I said, I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.